Hi guys, so today we'll be doing C++ programming. I know we've been on a Python series and we finished it over the last lesson, and now statements and the structure of a program. In this chapter we will take a first look at a number of topics that are essential to every C++ program. There are quite a few topics to cover. We'll cover most at a fairly shallow level, just enough to get by, and the goal of this chapter is to help you understand how basic C++ programs are constructed. By the end of the chapter you'll be able to write your own simple programs. In future chapters we will revisit the majority of these topics and explore them more in detail. And now we're going to be doing statements. A computer program is a sequence of instructions that tell the computer what to do. A statement is a type of instruction that causes the program to perform some action. Statements are by far the most common type of instruction in a C++ program. This is because they are the smallest independent unit of computation in the C++ language. In that regard, they act much like sentences do in a natural language. We want to convey an idea to another person. When we want to convey an idea to another person, we typically write or speak in sentences, not in random words or syllables. In C++, we want to have our program to do something. We typically write statements, but not all statements in C++ end in a semicolon, but most do. In a high-level language such as C++, a single statement may compile into machine language instructions. Functions in the main function. In C++, statements are typically grouped into two units called functions. A function is a collection of statements that execute sequentially. As you learn to write your own programs, you'll be able to create your own functions and the mix and match statements in any way you please. A rule. This is the first rule. Please push down. Every C++ program must have a special function named main, all lowercase letters. When the program is run, execution starts with the first statement inside the function main and then continues sequentially. Programs typically terminate when the last statement inside function main is executed. And now we're going to try the hello world function. You open your text editors. I have Sublime, and we're going to try out that. Now hash. This being a statement, we have to end with a semicolon. And we're going to save this. can see we saved it. Now we're going to try and run it. So now we're going to build this and run it. Now it has given us an error because we don't place these semicolons in the right place. Let me expand that. Now let's try and put them where they're supposed to be. And try running it again. You can see here it has put a hello world, and it finished in 2.2 seconds. Now line 1 here, let's now just dissect this code just a bit. Line 1 is a special type of line called a preprocessor direction. This preprocessor direction indicates that we would like to use the contents of IO stream library, which is the part of the C++ standard library that allows us to read and write text from and to and from the console. We need this line in order to use std count on line 5. Excluding this line would result in a compile error on line 5, as the compiler wouldn't know otherwise what to do with std count. Now line 2 is blank and is being ignored by the compiler. It just exists there to make the program more readable by humans. Line 3 tells the compiler what we're going to write. It's a definition of a function. Let's define a function. The function is called main. As you learned above, every C++ program must have a main function or it will fail to compile. Lines 4 and 7 tell the compiler that we're going to write a function that we're going to write. Okay, lines 4 and 7 tell the compiler which lines are part of the main function. Everything between the opening curly brace on line 4 and the closing curly brace on line 7 is considered part of the main function. This is called the function body. Line 5 is the first statement within function main and is the first statement that will execute when we run our program std count, which stands for character output, and the forward or less than signs, which are our operators for us, allow us to send letters or numbers to the console to be output. In this case, we are sending it to the text hello world, which will be output to the console. This statement creates the visible output of the program. Line 6 is a return statement. When an executable program finishes running, the program sends back a value to the operating system in order to indicate whether it runs successfully or not. This particular return statement returns the value of 0 to the operating system. That means it went okay. This is the last statement the program executes. Now we're going to do syntax and syntax errors. See, in English we all learned that English sentences are constructed according to a specific grammatical rule that should be in a specific way. Now C++ also has rules, and those rules are what we call syntax. Rules about how your programs must be constructed in order to be considered valid. When you compile your program, your compiler is responsible for making sure your program follows basic syntax of the C++ language. If you violate a rule, the compiler will complain when you try to compile your program and issue you a syntax error. Let's try that out. So I'm going to open a file. We had already done the CPP. Yeah, now syntax. We're just going to use the hello world, and when we get here, we're going to remove the semicolon at the hello world, and when we remove it, we're going to try and run this. I'm going to show you in a short while that it will give us an error because it should have the semicolon before the return. Now once we return this return here, and we run it again, it will give us the hello world. This tells you that you have a syntax error, and the compiler was expecting a semicolon and you didn't find one. That's why it reacted like we'll see here. You see, it reacts instantly when you don't put the semicolon where it's supposed to be. Yeah, thank you for this lesson. We meet again tomorrow, and we're going to be doing comments. Like and subscribe, and refer your friends to this lesson. Thank you. Wait, let's first make it right here. There you go. Now have an amazing time.